So for the third quarter of 2017, the overall market compared to last year, our sales are trending slightly down from last year. And that probably has more to do with squeezing of inventory. There isn't as much to buy. But also interest rates are slightly up, or at least steady, and values are up. So that with a slight increase in interest rates and value increase, that affects affordability. So that takes a few people out of the market that could afford a home, so that reduces demand a little bit. So that combined with tighter inventories. And also, in general, it shows that there's a general momentum softening of the market in general. That's really across the country, not just in Michigan. And that's as much because the pent-up demand for the recession is finally starting to settle back. We're settling into a more normal market. The good news is income growth is finally starting to rise a little bit. Job prospects are strong and have been. But we're still in a average moving economy, so we wouldn't expect it to necessarily, over the next couple of years, take off. Demographics are still good. Gen X and Gen Y are a huge population of buyers and sellers in the market, as well as baby boomers. So that mix is on a long-term basis for the next few years is very strong. But short-term, we can probably expect to see not the same type of housing activity we saw in 2016 and 15 to be settling down a little bit. In Michigan, for example, we look at auto sales. And auto sales are seeing that same tapering, that same settling down. And of course, in Michigan, where auto goes, that's where we go. We tend to follow that. So that's the overall direction for Michigan. For Washtenaw County specifically, and the trends that we've been seeing for the last 3 months have been the same all of this year and also for 2016 as well, but there's been some shifts. If we break the market up into the three segments we typically talk about, the under 250 segment, sales are declining and inventory is declining quite a bit. And that's logical because there are just fewer homes to buy, so that means sales will decline. First-time home buyers are getting squeezed. That's the biggest segment for that buyer population because values are rising quite a bit. In fact, one of the reasons that the inventory is declining as fast is that home values are rising so fast at that lower end that they're actually graduating from the 250 tier into the 250 to 500. So it's sort of depleting that under 250 inventory. In the middle range, which is really the strongest segment in Washtenaw County, and that's where inventories are still declining but not as fast, and sales are actually rising in that segment. So that market, we still have some strong strength. The value increases aren't as high, the 8 to 10% under 250. It's more like 5 to 6% in that middle range, but still a strong segment. Then when you go to the upper end, the over $500,000 market, sales actually have been rising in that segment. Inventories are relatively flat. So that higher end segment in Washtenaw has been performing better than it did last year, but we're not seeing values change that much. They're relatively flat. So actually in all market segments, you have it divided between what happens in the first 30 days or even in the lower end, the first 10 days, where most of the activity is happening and where you should be getting your offers and showings. And then if the home's in the market a little bit longer, you're going to see a significant decline in activity until you reset the price or the condition of the home to draw the activity. What that all means is that because you have three markets all doing well, relatively speaking, historically, but all moving at different velocities, there's probably never been a better time to have a realtor help you in the process because what you heard a friend or a neighbor sell their home for, if you're in a slightly different price segment, you'll need different counseling. So it'd be important to get the right counseling and the right expectations depending on the price market you are. Even in the market as strong as Washtenaw, which still remains one of the strongest, if not the strongest, economic segment in Michigan and housing as well. Thanks.